How do we define minimal risk for vulnerable research populations? Imagine participating in a study and feeling safe, because the risks are no worse than what you experience daily. That's the idea behind minimal risk in research. It means the chance and severity of harm or discomfort are no greater than what people normally face in everyday life or during routine health checks. For example, a simple blood test or a quick psychological survey would usually be considered minimal risk. When it comes to vulnerable populations, groups like children, prisoners, pregnant women, or those with limited resources, this definition needs extra care. These groups might have less ability to protect themselves or understand the research fully. So, the risks must be carefully measured to avoid harm. For children, this means risks should not be more than what they would encounter during a regular checkup or play. For prisoners, risk should not be greater than what they face in their daily routines. Medical ethics principles help guide this process. Respect for persons means we must protect their autonomy. For vulnerable groups, this often involves getting proper consent or assent and making sure they understand what they are agreeing to. Beneficence means we should aim to do good and minimize harm. So, risks should be kept as low as possible unless there is a direct benefit to the participant. Justice involves fairness, making sure these groups are not exploited or unfairly burdened, but also not unfairly excluded from research that could help them. In practice, researchers and review boards compare the research procedures to what participants normally experience. For children, this might mean ensuring that risks are no higher than a routine physical exam. For pregnant women, risks should be comparable to standard prenatal visits. The review board looks at the likelihood of harms, physical, psychological, social, or legal, and how serious they could be. They also consider the context, like the participant's environment and health status, because what is minimal risk for one person might be more for another. The review process also checks if the research is necessary and justified. For example, if a study involves a new medication for children, the risks should be carefully weighed against potential benefits. Researchers must put safeguards in place, like parental permission and child assent, to protect vulnerable participants. Because vulnerability varies from person to person and situation to situation, the assessment of minimal risk is not a one-size-fits-all rule. It depends on the specific circumstances, the population involved, and the nature of the research. This flexible approach helps ensure that vulnerable groups are protected without unnecessarily excluding them from research that could benefit them. To sum up, minimal risk for vulnerable populations means the chance and severity of harm are no greater than what they normally face in daily life or during routine health checks. Additional protections like proper consent and careful oversight help keep these risks in check. This way, research can be both ethical and inclusive, giving vulnerable groups access to the benefits of scientific progress while safeguarding their well-being.